What's going on, everyone? This is the Popcorn Heroes review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Snyder Cut. The infamous Snyder Cut. It's on HBO Max. You can subscribe and watch it to your heart's content. All 4 fucking hours.
That's right.
Like, I broke it into like
6 parts.
6 parts of what?
Eight,
like a
8
30,
parts?
Like 30 minutes each?
I don't
Something like that?
fucking remember.
Anyways, I am Armando. With me today, as usual, is Pedro.
Hello, hello.
And God's Gift, Orlando.
Yo, what up?
What's going on, kids? So, the long-awaited, long-rumored, no one let it fail Snyder Cut finally got released.
That's right. About goddamn time.
How did you guys enjoy it? How did you love it or hate it? What was your initial thought upon the majesticness of that 4-hour movie?
So initially, I was all for Snyder Cut, but after a while, I kind of started thinking like, damn, no matter what comes, it's not going to justify this hype, because I was already thinking the movie's going to be practically the same except for like some lighting changes and no fucking and then no stupid, disgusting Superman lip. So I was just kind of like, I mean, fuck it. It is what it is. We're going to get some more slow-mo, I guess. And then different colors. But then when I watched it, it wasn't that at all. It's practically a completely different movie, and I was very impressed. And yeah, it surprised me. It surprised what I went in thinking.
Yeah, it's funny because like, I knew the Snyder Cut was was a massive movie. I didn't think it was. I didn't think they were gonna give us the 4 fucking hours. When I first heard the Snyder Cut, I just thought it was just a remake, like the original cut of the first Justice League. I thought that was all we were gonna get.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
And then, we always felt like there was something wrong with Justice League. The Joss Whedon, the Justice League, as people like to call it.
Justice League. Yeah.
There was always something wrong with that movie. And when you see this movie, you could see like, holy shit, that fucking movie was a Frankenstein of a movie. It was. Yeah. It had different parts put into it. Nothing from the original was practically there. It's just kind of like everything was rewritten. Like, that movie was absolutely not what Zack Snyder did or wrote. And that shit is crazy. Like, to see how much, because the original rumor was that, Joss Whedon was supposed to come in here and just carry the movie to the end, But that motherfucker practically rewrote and redid that movie. You just watching it and like, holy shit, like Joss Whedon destroyed Zack Snyder's movie.
Yeah.
And
I don't blame only him though. I don't blame only him. It's definitely a lot of executive studio bullshit, but yeah, he's part of the problem for sure.
Yeah, I mean, upon watching the Snyder Cut, I honestly don't remember the original Josh's League.
Better for you, man.
Because and so for the most part, what I remember from it is in the Snyder Cut, like more or less. Like the big moments are in the Snyder Cut. So I kind of went with this with like a new, like kind of like I knew it was gonna be different, but I just like, there are some scenes where I'm like, oh, this is different, or there are some times where I'm like, oh, I remember this scene being here, but the music is different. There's not a corny joke that's thrown in. So I remember like some moments I'm like, oh, I know this scene, but why doesn't it feel the same? It feels different. And so there's a different tone to this movie for sure, because like it's kind of like having deja vu. Since I didn't watch the original Justice League again, when certain scenes came up, it was like, oh, I remember this scene more or less. And I'm like, oh, while this looks similar, it feels different. So I was like, okay, like the writing was changed or the acting was changed. And then scenes that are completely new, I automatically like caught it. I'm like, oh, this wasn't in the original. This wasn't in the original. I felt it was a bit bloated overall, but you know, for what it's worth, I was like, okay, this is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Should we get into our reviews? I mean, our spoiler-free review. We were kind of doing it now. Might as well.
Yeah, we were kind of.
You might as well. Let's do the. Sorry. Yeah, let's do it, Orlando. Give us your. We don't need your premise, Pedro. Fuck you today. Let's just go straight into the. Let's go into
if you've been living under a rock, go Google it and then come back.
So, Orlando, what are your small thoughts and your 1 out of 5?
Okay, so it's funny that we're doing our spoiler-free review now because we actually went back and we listened to our original thoughts on the original movie. And I guess back then we had like our grading scale was 1 out of 10, so I gave it a Justice League a 7. And honestly, even seeing the part, which is a 3, which is our current 3 system, which would be a current 3 in our rating system now. And even seeing the parts that I know are in the Joss Whedon Justice League, I'm like, you know what? No, like I need to revamp. Like, cause I even said it, like, the Joss Whedon Justice League, it paints it it's by the numbers, you know, and you know the thing is we're watching, you know, it's crazy listening. What's cool about our content, if you ever listen to us, is that you can go back now, like almost like 4 years, and you can see our growth as reviewers, as people in our lives, blah blah blah. So it's cool because we have like nostalgia almost. And it's crazy
it's like a time capsule.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule. And it's crazy to hear myself give such a positive, glowing review. I mean, it's a 7. It's a good movie. But holy shit. Well, and now, the Orlando now, who is like superhero fatigue, who is like so done with like watching superhero movies, I'm like, that movie was shit. And this movie is okay. Like... So, what would I give it? I give this movie a 3. If I would have had to revamp my other rating, I give that movie like a 2.5, 2. Overall, this movie is good. I think what it does add, especially in some character development from like a few of the characters, I think it's extremely needed. I think Joss Whedon butchered one of the characters for fucking sure. We'll get into that in the spoilers. I think 100%. The villain is way more fleshed out. You understand why he's doing the things he's doing, and it's not just like I gotta destroy the world just because. And so it adds more gravity to the story. And I think overall the team build up, like getting the team together feels like there's more of a reason why this team needs to assemble. Avengers assemble.
Sorry, Orlando. No, keep on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So overall, I think this movie is better than Joss Whedon's Justice League. I think it's a bit bloated. I think it could easily be a 3-hour movie or a 2.5-hour movie. Just cut a few things down. But I think overall it does everything that it's set out to be. So yeah.
Cool. All right. So Orlando, when I rudely interrupted you, I broke down. I don't know if you guys can see here. I broke down what our rating 1 through 5 and the 1 through 10 rating would be. So
okay,
it breaks down to as 1 or 2
some math.
Is a 1. 2, 3 is a 2. 4, 5. Wait up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So 1, 2 is a 1. 3, 4 is a 2. 5, 6 is a 3. 7, 8 is a 4. 8, 9. 9, 10 is a 5.
So if
So you guys give it a 4.
if 7 is a 4, then 7 is like a 3.5.
No, because you said 7.
You
So
said
that's
but you said 7
it's a
8 is a
3.
4. You said 7 8
No.
is a 4.
Yeah, 7.
You said-
7 8 is a 4.
So that means it's a 3.5 because not because how you know what I'm saying, like it's in between a 4 and a 3.
No, because 7 8 is a 4. So if you give it
Yeah,
7 or an 8,
but both
it is
numbers
equivalent of a 4.
are one number. Both numbers
Yeah.
aren't one number. If you
Yeah.
were to break it down by like legit even decimal points, it'd be a 3.5. If you want to get like technical.
No, if you want to give it by decimal, 7 would be 7 would be a 4, and 8 would be a 4.5. If you want to break it into decimal.
No, because then 9. So then 9 is a 10. So 9 is a 5.
9 is a 5, and then 10 is a fucking 5.5. Straight up, that's it. Dude.
You're so fucking wrong, and you just want to be right. Shut the fuck up. So a
We've
7
never,
is
we've never given anything a 10 or a 5. So shut the fuck up, man. Get out of here. None of us gave it that rating.
So a 7 is a 3.5. If you do it that way, it literally equals out to 10 digits. If you do it 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, it equals to 10 digits. It's perfectly balanced out that way.
All right, let's do it.
All right,
go for it, Pedro. What are your small thoughts and 1 out of 5?
But wait, Orlando. So you told me what your original score was. What would you give this one now?
So my original score was a 7, which is a 3.5.
Right, but what would you give Snyder Cut right now? 1 out of 5.
I give Snyder Cut a 3. I think it's good.
Oh, you give it a 3. Solid.
But I
3.
think
Okay.
it's better. I think it's better than Josh Whedon Justice
than
League.
Joss Whedon. I got you.
But obviously nostalgia and 4 years later of different mindset.
So, for me, let's do a little bit of backtracking on mine. In the old episode, for the original Justice League, I actually gave it a 7, which I know you guys are doing math about it, but in my brain, a 7 meant a 3, which means I liked it. But I watched the Justice League the day before I watched the Snyder Cut, and I would give that shit honestly a 2.5 right now. Because there's still scenes that are good in there, and it happened to be the parts in Snyder Cut, so that's where I enjoyed it. And then they fucked up on plenty of parts, villain and everything included. So that's where I would put it. So now that I have Justice League as a 2.5, I give the Snyder Cut a 4 out of 5. I actually really like this one. Sure, it's bloated. 4 fucking hours of like all kinds of shit, but honestly, it did everything. It did almost everything better. It's the score is better, but the soundtrack music I really wasn't feeling. There's like a lot of parts where they played like real fucking music, and I'm just like, nah, dude, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. There's an Aquaman scene, and there's this slow song going on, and I'm like, well, who the fuck was smoking when they thought this was a good idea? So there's a couple of weird shit. A Flash scene too. There's a song, and I'm like, no, this is lame. Anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of fucking slow-mo. I personally really like the slow-mo, but even I thought that's a lot of fucking slow-mo. they could have cut that down in half easily. But I agree with Orlando.
What was that thing you read about that the amount of slow-mos equals to how much time in the movie?
Oh, I actually put it up. I'll just use it now. I was gonna wait for the actual episode, but fuck it. So the film comes in at 4 hours, 1 minute, and 53 seconds. And then they actually counted how many seconds of slow-mo there was. And they pretty much did the math, and it was 9.97% of the movies in slow motion. It's 24 minutes and 7 seconds of slow motion in the entire 4 hours. It's 10% of the movie. That's bonkers, dude. That's completely crazy. They could have cut that in half easy. Because there's so many slow-mo scenes, like Lois with a coffee cup. I'm like, why are we looking at slow-mo coffee? Whatever. Yeah. But, so, going back to the stuff I like. So, I agree with Orlando saying that they did a total, complete, awesome revamp of Steppenwolf. He is, what's the word I was fucking looking for? Whatever. Butchered. Out of it. But, like, no, I was gonna say you actually feel for him now. You're actually like you understand, like he said, his motivations. He just looks better. The guy's a fucking powerhouse where he looks like he can go toe to toe with the league. Because in the previous movie, he gets his ass handed to him like nobody's business. In this one, he's actually like a tank, like a raging bull. Like he's actually scary to fight. So the other guy just looked like a CG Liam Neeson with a horn on his head. So, and obviously there were some extra characters they added in there that were fucking awesome. Just the action scenes were filmed better. The backstory was amazing for a couple characters, actually. Not even just the one that Orlando was talking about. There's a few characters that they added a lot to. It just felt like a continuation to his other two movies. This really does feel like part of his trilogy. And since I watched all of those in the build-up as well, it just feels better. When I watched Man of Steel and then BVS and then I cut to the Justice League, I was like, yo, this doesn't even feel like the same language. And then the next day I cut to, Snyder, and now I'm like, fuck, this is what it feels like to have it all together. We'll get more into it in the spoilers, but there's a lot of funny scenes that this one retconned to the other stuff. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I think it was worth the wait. A little long, sure, but definitely must watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. Pretty much your sentiment there. But just to bring it back, because we all started with our old scores, I gave this movie a 6. So I like to retcon my score, right? Because my score ends up being a 2.5 or 3, whatever the fuck Orlando wants. And I want to retcon my score to a fucking 1 because the Justice League was mierda. That shit was garbage, okay, man? My past self was an intelligent person giving this shit a shitty score, and I even said this movie was shit. I'm so proud of him, dude. Like, I've never been more proud of past Armando than I was in this moment in time. But I would say that shit is fucking terrible. Like, I tried seeing it like you, Pedro. I tried giving it a chance about a month or two ago because I knew the Snyder Cut was coming. One day I was bored and I just needed some background music or background noise, whatever you want to fucking call it. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do it as a background noise. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, I was watching, I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I watching, dude? I couldn't do it, man. So that's how bad that movie is, that I can't even have it in the background because I'm listening to it and occasionally watching. I'm like, oh my god, this movie's terrible. So I would like to retcon my score to a 1 because that shit was sucked. Backtrack, I guess it's not retcon, it's a backtrack. That's gonna be a 1 from now on. And I would like to officially say that the Snyder Cut for me is a 4.
Nice.
It's not an amazing movie, but I just love how it just fixes everything that was wrong with the Justice League, And I think just because of that, I'm giving it such higher. But if I wanted to tamer expectations, I would do a 3.5. But it is a 4 for me. The 4 hours didn't feel that long when I was watching it.
It didn't.
It went by pretty. I was very interested, I guess you can say. That's why it didn't feel as long because I wanted to know what was happening. They did justice to Steppenwolf because he was a little bitch in the first movie, and they did justice to Cyborg because Cyborg was fucking butchered in Justice League. He was straight up butchered.
Look how they massacred my boy.
They completely did him. Out of all the characters in the movie, they did him the worst because he had barely any screen time in the other movie, and you didn't understand him enough to know like what the fuck is Cyborg about. So I just love the fact that the Snyder Cut, when he did the movie, he actually had a full story for Cyborg that we never got, It kind of makes you think of like, why did he get so butchered? Because I feel he's an important piece in this movie. Because I don't think without him they would have been able to defeat, Steppenwolf and the Mother Boxes and all that shit. And then you have Darkseid. They finally came around. It's like, oh my god, that's pretty cool. Even though he didn't have much going on, but just the idea that he was there was pretty interesting. And I don't know if you probably remember this, Pedro, but when they were fighting in the beginning of the movie, when all the gods were there, were they fighting Steppenwolf or were they fighting Darkseid?
They were fighting Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf.
You see how stupid that shit was? So it's kind of like
very dumb.
This movie makes more sense, dude. It just made sense. And I think that's what I enjoyed so much about it. It just fucking flowed between all the movies, and it just even when they resurrected Superman, you know, it made sense in this movie. In the other one, they're just like, oh, well, we need somebody to help defeat Superman. Let's get Superman. In this one, it felt more like, there was more to it. The reasons why they were resurrecting him, you know, the idea of like, oh shit, like we could resurrect him in a sense, you know, like it made more sense here. I don't know, it's just over, and they got rid of that stupid plot line of Batman and Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Justice League, of the romantic relationship between both. I'm like, come on, dude. Like I don't need this shit. Like this movie's not about that, you know. So
yeah, I mean, they did have a scene that was a little like, but I know what you mean. The actual plot is gone. The actual
for the most part, they got rid of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of things that it just made more sense between. Batman's not funny, which made like, why was he fucking funny to begin with?
Times. The best plot that they got rid of was the Russian family. That's the best one.
Oh my god, that was such a waste of time. And now, because when you think about it, like, if you're comparing it to this movie, when you're thinking about it, like, that place is radioactive. So what the fuck is a Russian family doing in a radioactive spot, you know?
Well, when I saw it again, they mentioned, oh yeah, but the radiation has dissipated. So, you know, people started moving in because no one wants to live there. So it's like a slums. That's how they explained it in the Justice League.
It was just so stupid, dude. Like, why do you do all these extra lines for no fucking reason, you know?
They did that because they wanted Superman to be saving civilians. That's pretty much why they did it. And Flash to save civilians. It was all about saving civilians. They wanted to see more of that. When Zaddy just cares about destruction. That's it, man. We don't need no saving civilians. We save that for Marvel.
But in a Snyder Cut, it made more sense because it was just essentially them fighting Steppenwolf. Like, the goal was to stop him from uniting the mother boxes. That's it. Like, I don't need anything else. That it's as simple, as clear cut as it can get. Like, adding people to get saved is just, it bloats the movie for no fucking reason. Like, I don't need that. That was not the point, you know. Whatever. Anyways, but yes, it is better than the Justice League, and you know, thank God for AT&T green lighting this. I mean, forcing DC to green light this and making it happen. You know, all praise AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they suck.
Yeah, fuck them. But thank you.
They made the Snyder Cut happen. All right, ladies and gents. Oh, wait. Before we get into the spoilers, let's talk about Mike. Mike, man, we have to bring you up on this podcast, buddy. Because you're a fucking failure to this fucking podcast. Good old Mike. We listened to his initial review and thoughts. He gave the Justice League, was it a 9?
8.5.
8.5. He yelled it real loud.
And he was very confident about that 8.5, you know. I wish we could insert snip here of him saying that.
8.5.
Damn.
Yeah.
I
saw the movie twice now, man. This movie was the best DC movie by far.
But he was very confident of his fucking review, and he loved the movie. He said he saw it twice, and he loved every second of it. He liked it more the second time around, he says. That guy was on some drugs. I sent him a message of all this. And I'm gonna read it out here for the audience to understand what we went through here. Mike said upon further review, he said, "Laughed my ass off. I was on drugs. I had to be. I rewatched it before the Snyder Cut, and it was absolute trash." So there you go, guys. Mike, backtracked on his own thing. He hated it, and he gave the Snyder Cut a 3.5 out of 5. So good on him.
Nice.
Bravo. There you go, Mike. You're gonna have to come back around and clear your reputation on record.
Yeah, defend yourself.
No
Good
longer
luck.
trusted in the Popcorn Heroes review. You know what that means? Bryce is absolute trash then. It's absolute trash.
He should rewatch Bright and see what that's all about.
Oh no, he's still gonna give it a 5.
Yeah, he would. It's got Will Smith, so.
All right, ladies and gents, let's get into it. Spoilers ahead, spoilers. If you don't care, just keep on going. If you don't want to watch 4 hours, just stick around. Let's just get into
Stick
it.
around.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers.
All right. Here we go. So, right out the gate, when you watch the Zaddy version, you do not get the shitty mustache.
Oh my god! Thank
Instead,
God. That was so scary.
we get look. It was like salvation from the first second. It was like, oh my god, it's gone. Thank God. And then you get this super slow-mo, long ass, dragged out version of him getting fucking impaled by Doomsday, which was pretty cool because I'm like, damn, this is pretty badass. And then you hear him screaming, and it does the wavelength of like, and then it keeps going. And then you still hear the screaming.
You know what's
and then
funny,
you see the
Pedro,
screaming going
about
around
that
the
scene?
world.
About that scene is that, you know, we get it from an actual different angle now, right? Because in BVS you got it from a further away angle, and here you get it like in his face angle. But they're saying, you know, people broke down BVS, and in that scene you do see the shockwaves when he dies.
Yeah, you do. I
pretty
watched
awesome.
it, so yeah, you do.
It's pretty awesome that like now you actually see it, you know, because it was like a kind of if you're not looking, it'll pass you, you know. But now
I definitely caught that, and I thought that was cool. But it still kept going. Like you hear the and I'm like, all right, I got it the first time, and then you see it in Atlantis, the box is shaking, and then the Amazons are shaking, and then you see Cyborg looking in his closet like, oh shit, and I'm like, okay.
Everybody sees it. I get it.
I fucking got it. It's cool. And then the whole thing's in slow-mo, so that probably adds to the 20 fucking minutes of slow-mo. But the idea was cool. You just got a little excited.
And it essentially wakes up the mother boxes, you know? That's the fucking gist of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the gist was that the mother boxes were like, oh shit, you guys can't conquer this. There's a fucking badass Kryptonian here, so we'll yell out for help once he's dead. And then literally his death cry is what wakes him up. So yeah, it starts off with that, a million times better. And then did you get the shitty song there? I can't remember. I think there was one of the shitty songs that I didn't care for there when they were doing the whole like funeral and stuff.
I mean, after that you get the Bruce going seeing Aquaman.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll just cut to that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking more boring shit. Let's get right to the nitty-gritty.
He was climbing the mountains to go see Aquaman.
That's right.
I mean, even instantly, that scene is better.
Yes.
Than the original Joss Whedon Justice League, just because you see that like it's not like just like it's, the humor is taken out of it, and it's more serious. And you see like, okay, this guy comes here every year, protects them, which is in the original cut. But then it's like obviously they moved that line like, oh, I heard you talk to fish, or what is it? Do you talk to fish? Do you talk to fish?
Yeah.
Like,
I heard you can talk to fish. Shit-eating grin. One of the main reasons why I really enjoyed that whole scene, the way they redid the whole scene now, is because the whole thing is him talking in English, right? He's talking to Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is translating it in Icelandic to this guy. And then somewhere near the end, it shows that Bruce can also speak the language. He was just kind of playing dumb. And one of the biggest things I always felt about these movies, they always make Bruce fucking dumb. So the fact that they're showing that he's got knowledge and expertise, just a little bit, like throwing some in there, I'm like, damn, this is getting closer and closer to the Batman that I want in this universe. So it's just little hints of like, there's more to him. You know, he's smarter than he looks.
That didn't happen in a Justice League, right?
It did not, no. So it's like a bunch, a million times better. But then it got a little weird again when he goes to leave, and then these Icelandic chicks just start singing, and I'm like, okay. And then they keep singing, and I'm like, okay. They just kept going. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right.
it was like a 3-minute song, right? Some shit like that.
Yeah, I understood what they were going for. They were kind of trying to show that village like worships him as a god, but it went on a little too long. So that's another one of like, Zack Snyder got a little too excited.
Well,
Could have cut that a bit.
Well, I remember. Was there a song like when he took off his shirt and he like left? Was there like an original?
No.
Was there like a huge okay? Because I thought
He literally
that
just
scene
takes
was,
it off and he fucking swims away. And he's like, "You're crazy, Bruce Wayne," and that's it. And it cut the next scene.
Oh, okay.
And there's one of the hot hand in hand. I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. I got it. You guys worship him. That's cool. The idea was cool. It just went on a little too long. Again, that's my thing. That happens quite a few times in here, but I'd rather it happen than
And
not
another
at all,
thing is
so
that
I'll
on
take
the Justice League, he already knew he was Bruce Wayne, right? He's like, "Oh, you're crazy, Bruce Wayne," and here you figure out that he figures out that he's Bruce Wayne, that he's Batman.
it. Oh yeah.
Because in the Snyder cut, he figures it out as he's talking to Bruce Wayne. He's like, "Oh shit, you're Batman. You're the fucking crazy one, And the other one, he just goes, "Oh, you're crazy, Bruce
Dressed like a
Wayne,"
bat.
and he just, and he goes away. And I'm like, how the fuck did he know he was Bruce Wayne?
Yeah,
Does everybody know that Bruce Wayne is Batman in this world?
So yeah, essentially, especially by the end, he just lets them all in the cave like nothing. But I can't remember if it's after this, but pretty much then we get to one of the parts that I thought was fucking hilarious is the Wonder Woman intro.
Oh my god, it's so much better.
So it is, but it's also fucking hilarious in a weird way. So Wonder Woman's job is that she's a collector and preserver of antiquities and museums and history and all that, right? So you got these terrorists to take these kids hostage in a museum with priceless shit. And then she goes in there, she does her fucking badass action of like dodging, the stuff, which is pretty cool because Joss Whedon actually did it more slow-mo. And in this one, Zack Snyder actually made her move faster. So just to show how like strong she is. And I thought that scene was super sick. And then where the Joss Whedon version cuts is when she slams her bracelets together. But no, Zack Snyder wanted you to see the damage she fucking did to a poor museum. She fucking overkills that guy so hardcore. She uses her ultimate, like it was charged up and she just had to use it and just boom, just busted the whole half of the museum, completely destroyed. And then the little girl's like, "I want to be like you when I grow up." It's like, all right. Like, we're just going to be destroying shit.
You can't let an ult go to waste, man. You gotta use
I gotta admit, her fight scene in that was really cool because it did.
Yeah.
There was more gravity to her hits. Like you felt that shit. Like everything, every like hit had like a thump behind it, and like it felt like weighted, felt heavy. So that was really cool to see. That was like actually really, really interesting.
I think it's one of those things that Zack Snyder does really well is how he handles Wonder Woman's power. Because I feel like even in the Wonder Woman movies, she feels underpowered. She doesn't feel like she's hard hitting. And here you see how fast and hard hitting she is.
I think and in BVS, she like stole the movie, honestly, because her hits felt hard.
It felt hard, and like the last Wonder Woman we saw, I didn't see that. Like she was not hard hitting like this. She didn't move as fast as this. And
to be fair, the plot was she was losing her power, but yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but
and it was also like 20 years ago. So like this is like this is in terms of power, this is the most powerful she's ever been.
Maybe. Yeah, she was pretty OP in the first Wonder Woman.
Yeah, she was. She was pretty OP in the first one. Because you remember, she takes down that sniper in that tower in the first one just by jumping into him and crashing into him.
Yeah, she does like that Spartan knee. It was pretty badass.
Poof, and it just blows up the fucking building. So it's kind of like, I feel like they underpowered her in 1984. I know that she was losing her powers, but like even in the beginning when she wasn't as hard hitting. Like when she was saving in the mall, like whatever. Yeah. Let's not talk about it. That movie sucked. Anyways, like I just love how Zack Snyder uses her power. Like he knows how to fucking use it, and he shows you like this girl, she's not someone you could fucking mess with, And in the other movies I felt like anyone could have taken on Wonder Woman. And here I was like, nah, no one can take her out. Like she's she's fast. Like she was doing the bullet like doo 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 doo, and how she was hitting everybody, and that the fucking power, man, it was just insane. I loved it. I loved that scene because that's how she's supposed to be, you know.
Yeah, for
she's
sure.
supposed to be She's supposed to be like a mini Superman in my eyes, you know. Except with all the other crazy shit that's like laser eyes, freeze breath, and
there's a reason why he's called Superman. He's especially at the end, you really see why he's called Superman.
Yeah.
But continue on with the character intros. Then we get Flash's intro, which was completely non-existent in the Joss Whedon cut.
Yeah.
And how'd you guys feel about that? Because there's a lot of controversy about that scene. I don't know if you know.
Why? What was I didn't hear?
They think it's creepy, borderline stalkerish the way it was all about. Did you guys get that vibe, or you weren't really?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit weird, but it just for me. I took it as it's demonstrating how he lives a different life in those time zones. You know, that's how I just took it. Like he sees the world and lives in the world very differently, especially when he's in the Time Force.
Yeah, I think people were just overthinking it for sure.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, I could see where it might be creepy, but I mean, you're talking about a character who's socially awkward, so
Exactly.
who doesn't know how to interact with people, who doesn't know like maybe social norms or exactly what to do. So like him leaning toward the side of creepy isn't far fetched for his character. He doesn't know exactly what to do in social situations. So it's a criticism that while it's warranted, it's just like you're not looking at the character then and as a whole. So like that's just how the character is. So
I agree.
I don't see
He's
much.
an awkward guy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe because I also understood like you the character. Clearly, we know he's not awkwardly. I mean, he's not like socially there. So
Right, like he's not socially there, so like what do you expect from him? Like, he doesn't know like that social cue. So yeah, it's creepy, but he's not even self-aware of the creepiness. So it's something that it's one thing to be creepy and be aware that you're creepy. It's one thing to be creepy and not be aware that you're being creepy. I'm not trying to justify it.
No,
it's just
but
Yeah,
he's
the
not
other-
doing it. He's not doing it maliciously. He's just like,
Right.
bro, this girl's really pretty.
It's-
he just doesn't
Yeah,
know
and-
how to act. Yeah.
yeah, the main reason I guess people thought of it like people took it over the top. To me, I didn't see it that way because him breaking neck to like look at the girl was returned. She did the same thing. Like they had that moment. And as she's walking away, she turns around and they lock eyes. They got the moment. She's driving and eating shit and looking at him. They got the moment going. So there's
And
nothing
that's why
creepy
she got into
about
an
it.
accident,
Exactly why she got into an accident for being a fucking dumbass. So yeah.
She was staring hard, dude. The fuck?
Oh man, that dog kid is pretty. Oh shit, hot dogs.
Shit, here
Like-
comes a bus.
yeah.
It's the accident was caused by her eating shit, looking at him. So it's kind of like,
Well, technically, it wasn't caused by her. It was caused by the guy that dropped his burger.
for sure, he dropped his burger. The typical burger trope,
I don't know about that. Zooming into that sesame seed was pretty intense. I was like, okay. But
yeah.
I thought that was a great scene showing his like how overpowered he can be if he really wants to be.
for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like he lives a different life, and when he's in there, like he's living differently.
It's gonna be compared. I actually haven't heard anyone compare it, but in my mind, I was comparing it to the Quicksilver scene from Days of Future Past, and definitely not as good because the other one had more style to it, and you got to feel what that character was because he was like playing around with everyone. In this one, it was more of like the start of their love in a setup for the next movie. So I understood what they were going for, but I just love that as soon as he cuts in Speed Force, his shoes totally obliterate. And he's just like chilling there. And then he's still thinking about the dogs he's got to get back to and the job that he needs to earn. So that's why he grabs the hot dog and gets it ready in his little pocket. And then he's staring at the chick a little bit, but which is kind of weird. She had a screaming face when the truck hit her. And then once she's floating, she's back to like a weird fuck me face. I was like, what's going on here? So there was like a big inconsistency there. They were just trying to make it like a cute scene instead of her screaming bloody murder in slow motion. I get it, but...
Yeah.
So
and it's like you said, like like their interaction was almost like mutual, you know.
Mutual.
And you have this character who like can bend time and do shit without no one knowing, you know. So it's like he's socially awkward, but is he creepy? Nah, I beg to differ because he could have done something within that time frame, you know. So it's just like he's just a good guy who just didn't know how to act really.
Yeah.
Got starstruck, you know.
Yeah.
For sure.
One of my biggest complaints of the movie, even the Justice League, you know, is I don't like how Barry moves, like the Flash moves. I hate the fucking long swinging arms.
Yes,
like, dude, does this guy know how to run? You know,
they're still
like,
here. Yeah,
like
it's
that.
weird.
It's like,
it's like he's karate
God,
chopping
so
the
awkward.
air. Yeah,
dude.
I don't like it either. But it's better than the CW because the CW one is just. I don't know. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
He just does
get
this
that.
weird jog.
But this fucking running seems like he's like dancing. He's like,
Yeah.
and then
Specifically,
it's just like
this actor
everywhere, and I'm just like, oh come on, this is an exaggeration.
Yeah. Specifically, this actor, the way he runs, it's like he's swimming. There's this weird hand motion that he does.
He's like,
that looks off. Yeah.
I
really noticed it.
I would have liked it better if they would have like filmed him running, and just kind of they're like, all right, let's see how he looks slowed down, you know, and break it down, and like, all right, do these motions, like look how you run,
Right,
and just
look
do
at
those
yourself.
motions as you're running, like, you know, like, I don't know, dude. It's just there's a way to do it, but this just
Wouldn't
looks like
it be
he's fucking
funny-
acrobatic dancing.
Wouldn't it be funny if they did that and that just happens to be how he runs? I'll be like,
Oh my
fuck
God.
it.
Fuck it, at that point,
I mean-
fuck it, dude. Like you casted him, you die on that horse.
Out of all the speedsters that we've seen in movies, I think, or in TV shows, I think he's one of the worst. Like at least the way he moved within the slow speed.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
The best one is X-Men.
Obviously, we both know the best one is Pietro, whatever.
Pietro,
from
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, from X-Men.
Well, the
Not
X-Men
MCU
Quicksilver.
or Fox?
Nah.
Yeah. X-Men. Fox
there
Quicksilver
we go,
is
there we
obviously
go.
the best one.
The MCU was bad too.
Yeah. But like, yeah, you're right. There's something about the way he moves that I'm not really a fan of either.
Yeah.
I just think that like, especially since he's so witty, there's so much fun stuff they can do with him. But I guess they don't want to lean towards that like MCU did it already. So it's like, let's not do it that way. You know, maybe they're just trying to just do their own thing. I
There's
just simply
something.
haven't nailed it yet.
Yeah.
They definitely haven't
Yep.
nailed it on him. I mean, the best running so far is, like you said, the Fox X-Men one. You know, they killed it. Even with his running motion, he's kind of like, you know, it's just
It's
feels
just
natural.
like a light jog through the park. You know, it just feels like
exactly. Yeah, I like John.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's no sense of urgency because he is so fast. Like everything is slow. So he takes his time, and the way Barry Allen runs in this movie, it's kind of like
he's tripping.
Like he's tripping. The weight of the world is on his. Like he seems nervous while he's in slow mo.
The only
Like
time
he
that made
seems like
sense
he has
was
no
the end.
control of what he's doing. So like he just seems nervous. Like he's just like, oh my god. He seems like he seems in a hurry, in a position where he doesn't need to be in a hurry.
Yeah.
So like, it's weird. Like you're living in slow motion, and why does it feel like you're in a rush?
Yeah.
So true, man. So true. But regardless, that scene was okay. You know. It was a nice
I
scene.
enjoyed it. And
Well-
it set up something really big, which is a conversation he had later, especially with in the Justice League version, with his dad about his multiple jobs, his part-time jobs. You got to see it. You got to see him trying to get one.
Yeah.
So it connected to that part.
It did.
And then you get Cyborg's intro story, which was completely non-existent
Yeah.
in the original cut. And my God, dude, it's fucking night and day with the difference in like you actually feel. I mean, you understood the basic motivation. I hate my dad. He turned me into a monster. But there's more to it now. Now you got more of the relationship with the mother because you got to see it. You got to see how he's also smart before he became a cyborg. Like you got to see that he hacked a friend's grades because she had she was failing her classes because someone died in the family, I believe. Yeah, and usually a school usually gives you like a bereavement thing, but I guess this school didn't. So he cut her a break by hacking and saving the grades and stuff. So you get to see, okay, he's like super compassionate and he's smart. Already smart with computers before he became cyborg. Yeah. So that was
he's athletic because he's a jock. Yep. He's an intelligent jock.
Yeah, you got the football game that we saw in the trailer that we were waiting for. You got to actually see him like.
Wait, that football game wasn't in the original?
No. The entire football game wasn't in it.
Oh, that was cut. All his shit was cut.
Damn.
So in the original cut, it's him in his apartment being emo, and that's it.
And then the woman.
There's no crash. There's no scene of him getting put back together. There's no football game. There's nothing.
There's
nothing
no waitress.
Of him in school. No, yeah. Although the waitress thing could have been handled a little better, in my opinion.
I thought they did explain how he came to be though.
Through a sentence.
Yeah.
They said there was an accident. I don't even think they mentioned it was a car accident. I don't remember them mentioning that.
No.
They said it was an accident.
Then his character is completely fleshed out, like completely fleshed out, like which is great.
Yeah. The only thing the Joss Whedon version really did was that you can tell he had a lot of animosity toward his dad. There was even a scene, there was one line that Joss Whedon had that I actually liked, where the father says something like, oh, you got to be careful, there's monsters out there. And I forgot how he worded it, but Cyborg worded it in a way where like, yeah, there's a lot of them out there. And he's like, oh, it's okay, no one needs to see how you look like. And then he goes to his dad, he's like, funny, I was talking about you, not me. You know, it's like kind of saying like his dad's the monster. That was a cool little slick scene, but that's about it. That's all the credit I'm gonna give Joss Whedon for.
Yeah,
it's interesting because the actor had a lot to say about Joss Whedon's direction and Joss Whedon's directing, and I wonder, like, what is it? Was it like, obviously some people like collaborated with that statement and agreed that like his directing or his presence was like a bit toxic, but I wonder what if some of it also has to do with like what was left off the table. Like, you're watching a movie that you're essentially you're like a main like character, and then you get reduced to like nothing. So like you probably have an axe to grind. Like I'm not saying that like he's lying about the Joss Whedon like toxicity, because there was other people who collaborated with him. But
pretty much all the actors agreed. Even Gal Gadot jumped in and she agreed through her.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's something to it. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the fact that you're essentially cut from the movie has something to do with it. Like, I mean, we saw it with Jared Leto. Like, he was essentially cut from like the Suicide Squad, and he fucking complained up and down. So it's just like, I'm not trying to say like he's lying or something. I'm just saying that like that must have added to it. The fact that like you watch the film and you're like nowhere to be found in this film.
Yeah,
for sure. And it also could be like I have a feeling that like there was problems in the back, and I think Joss Whedon probably just purposely cut him out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it could also be that they're like, Cyborg. Who the fuck is Cyborg when you look at all the other Justice League members? Let's focus on the ones that people are gonna buy merch of or something. It could have been that as well.
Right? It could have been.
But at that point, it's like, why did you allow it to happen if you were DC? So it's kind of like if you allowed this choice to be made. Cyborg is not important. He's never been, unless you do it in Teen Titans.
He's been crazy important Teen Titans wise, but Justice League, that's like a reboot thing. They were going for that he's tied into Apocalypse Tech, which is a Jeff Jones storyline, which is another guy that the actor had a lot of beef with.
Yeah. So, Jeff Jones was trying to put his story into the big screen, but I mean, like in the end, you forced this on because you wanted to follow your shit, and then in the end, you butchered the character. So it's kind of like waste of time, in my opinion. It's a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
There's a story there that I feel like it still hasn't been told. We only seen it from one perspective, but I feel like there's a lot of stories to be told from this fucking, and especially with Zack Snyder's side. Like he was pushed out. Clearly, he was pushed out. Like now that you see it and see everything that's happening, like he was pushed out. It wasn't like he quit like the original story said. He was fucking forced out of this movie, and something happened, dude. Something had to happen.
It was probably a combination of both things. Like, hey, like change this movie probably. And then totally his daughter sadly died, and then he was like, you know what, I'm out. Like whatever, keep your movie. It has to be a combination of like that. Like I think like just like that kind of like those circumstances colliding and then creating like a perfect moment to like give it place.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though because like Snyder cut, and now they're asking for like the Suicide cut. Marvel doesn't have this problem, you know, and we've had Marvel revisions, you know, whether it be like Han Solo film or
Ant-Man. Ant-Man was a big one.
Ant-Man. Marvel doesn't have the problem of like, oh, release this version, release that version. Why? Because they for the most part, they allow the directors to make the movie they want to make for the most part. Obviously, there's like, we have 2 examples of movies that didn't go that way. But we allow the property to exist, and if it changes, for the most part, as we know as the audience, it changed for the better.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what DC is doing that like you have these 2 capable directors doing, and then you come and you just cut everything. Like, what's the point of hiring Zack Snyder if you're not gonna let him to make his movie? What's the point of hiring the guy who did Suicide Squad if you're not gonna allow them to make their movie? Like you're not building trust within your fan base, nor I'm guessing your directors, your actors, your producers, because you're coming in and you just keep chopping stuff up. Like you want to be a heavy R, but then you want to like scale back that R. You know, supposedly like the Suicide Squad was supposed to be like even more insane, and like the execs were like, nah, that's too much. So it's like you don't want to be Marvel, so you want to be like X-rated, but you don't want to go too far. So it's like you gotta let your directors be. You know, I'm interested to see what the new Suicide Squad movie turns out to be, but that's neither here and there.
That's gonna be an R.
That's neither here or there, but you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a different thing. You know, it's a new guard of people in the studio now. Everybody who was there when this movie was made is fucking gone. So it's kind of like now you have probably the other extreme, right? Where Wonder Woman 1984 was given full autonomy to do whatever the fuck she wanted, and whatever the fuck she wanted didn't work. So it's kind of like there has to be a happy medium, you know? Like give your people, give your directors their vision of that character. Let them do what they want to do. But sometimes you gotta give them notes, man. You know, like you can't let what Wonder Woman 1984 happen again.
I guess Pedro, let me ask this question: Does DC have a Kevin Feige?
No, they keep firing them.
But when they had Jeff Jones, he sucked. So it's
exactly. Jeff Jones is unofficially fired in a way right now.
Yeah, he's not. He's no longer involved in anything. But like, it's one of those things where like they tried, but they didn't put the right person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude. There's no Kevin Feige, dude. That can never ever be replaced.
They tried doing a Kevin Feige, but I guess they didn't put their foot down hard enough or something because nothing happened. Nothing changed differently. Yeah.
Well, you also got to remember that when Jeff Jones was in there, he had split duties. There was 2 main people at the head.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It's not like there's no Kevin Feige. Like nobody will ever be able. There would never be any Kevin Feige anywhere else. It's impossible, dude. That guy has such a vision, such a business. That's not gonna be replicated ever.
Well, there could be people that study him now and they replicate it, for sure. But he definitely did it first, and he did it best by far.
I mean,
it's been what? How long? How long has it been? And it still haven't been in a Kevin Feige. That's not gonna happen, dude.
2008.
I mean, when it comes to Star Wars, Dave Filoni is your Kevin Feige almost.
John Favreau, I would say.
John Favreau and Dave Filoni
With Dave
are your
Filoni
Kevin Feige.
though, because you need the business and you need the vision. Like Filoni's the vision. Filoni's the vision. Like he could. I honestly feel like he could guide Star Wars to new heights. But I don't think he'll be good for the business.
No, I don't think so either. And it's better that way, because that way it won't fuck with your creativity. Because then you're going to be thinking about the business aspect of it. Like, oh, I can't add this because of this. No, just fucking do your creativity. And yeah, that's something else. But that's the closest we can get to it, though.
Yeah. So, bringing it back to the movie, what do you guys think about Steppenwolf? Like, his story was completely another thing that was butchered along with Cyborg. Like, he was so busy worried about Mama that, like, stuff like now you understand that he has nothing to do with Mom. You know, it's kind of fucking completely weird story. A 180 you had there.
Yeah.
Well, can you guys refresh my mind? What was his original like motivation in the original?
It was weird. It was just he wanted to conquer. They didn't even mention Darkseid till like the very end. It was the same idea. He wanted to conquer the world for Darkseid, but that was it.
Mother.
Yes. He was specifically calling out for the mother box. It was a little weird. Mother. Yeah.
Like it felt weird because it felt like he was praising the mother boxes, and everything else was an afterthought to me. That's how it felt like.
It was weird. I will say
his motivation was just for the mother boxes. I feel like in the Justice League.
Yeah. And also you actually like empathized with him. Like there are scenes where you can like, you know, you already saw him as Raging Bull when he was like demolishing everyone and taking the mother boxes. And then you got to see him when he sees Desaad, which is like the right-hand man, and he's already like kneeling, you know, like being respectful, but also he feels like he's got some balls on him. And then when Darkseid comes in, he totally turns into a puppy, practically crying, and then his armor literally sheds off of him, like feels vulnerable. He looked like a baby alien at that point, with his eyes watery, like, yes, for anything for you. I was just like, oh shit, dude. Like you see fear, you see admiration, like the guy was practically crying. Like it was completely fleshed out. You got to see him. And then of course when it's like, oh, you'll come back into my good graces if you do this. And that's when he turns right back on. And I will say the design, I fucking love the design. When I saw the trailer,
I loved it.
When I saw the trailer, I actually was a fan of how big he looked and how angular he was. But I was not a fan of the armor when I saw the trailer. Now, watching the movie, I think the armor is amazing because it's very hard to show emotion and to have like a CG creature act or show any emotion. So the armor would act for him. I don't know if you guys realized it. Like when he was in pain, the spikes would shriek out. Like the part where Mara's like pulling the blood out of him, his armor's going fucking crazy, shrieking out. And then the same thing when he's like more relaxed, you see it kind of move like a fucking ocean. And then when he's kneeling down, there's just like so many different emotions he was feeling. You could feel it in his armor. And I thought that was a brilliant way of making it more visual of everything that he's feeling. I thought it was a great idea.
It was. I loved the armor. The way it moved and shit like that, it was just amazing. It was like he had his mind of his own. I really enjoyed that. You know, it's funny that you brought up Mera right now because the underwater scenes I did not enjoy at all.
Really?
I love how Aquaman did it better. And I hated her fucking pointless British accent. It was so stupid.
But that was the original.
So, like, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I'm glad that you know James Wan changed that shit up. And you're like, nah, fuck that English accent. You do you. And fuck this bubble bullshit. You know, I'm not wasting time doing all these fucking bubbles. Just y'all motherfuckers gonna talk on the water and that's it. You know, like I love how he simplified the world.
He did.
And visually, I like how it looks better in Aquaman than it does in this movie.
I'm a little torn. I agree with you, but at the same time, I like the idea of them just doing the fucking whale noise clicks, like to show that they're aquatic, and then they have their own other language. I thought that was a cool little touch too. But you can't. But realistically, you can't have a movie of fucking clicks and subtitles. Not for a movie, a blockbuster movie of this spectacle. You know, you're gonna bore your audience. But I did like that idea, and yeah, I wasn't too much of a fan of like the bubble for them to talk. But I actually did like the underwater fight scenes, especially when Mara was using the bubble to like drop him. You know, like he's like swimming towards it. She does the bubble so he could lose balance, and then of course she's sucking the blood out of him, which she didn't do in the Jaws version. They actually showed it, so they made her feel pretty overpowered here. And the same thing with Aquaman. I mean, the Aquaman fight was pretty much like almost exactly like the Joss Whedon version. Honestly, it was just her that they added that scene that was really cool. And then of course they added the reasoning why he gets the armor. He kind of just jumps in, no explanation, saves the mother box, and then comes back later with armor, and there was no explanation. So here you got to see him meet Volko, which was Willem Dafoe with fucking crazy long hair, which is a little bizarre.
How did you like that? Did you like him better in the Aquaman or how he looked here?
So I like the... Again, I'm torn. I kind of like visually how he looks. He looks like a mentor type character here. But I did like the idea that Aquaman added that everyone's hair is tied back, because it's not realistic for you to be with your fucking hair flowing through your face while you're in the water. It's uncomfortable. So it made sense. I guess visually it's cooler in this movie, everything, even like the talking, but it's more practical in the Aquaman version. So that's why I'm a little torn. It makes more sense in Aquaman, but to me it feels and looks nicer in Justice League, like everything.
Yeah, I enjoyed how he looked, but the reason why I liked it because he does look like a mentor here. You know, he looks like somebody like, oh, that this guy is gonna be here for him and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, like an Obi-Wan type vibe. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it explains how he actually got the armor.
And the trident. This is your mother's trident. It's like, where the fuck did you get that trident from? Like, what? Yeah.
You always had it with you?
and then them specifically saying this is your mother's trident, because when he gets the trident later in the movie, it's his dad's. Because it's been a while since I've seen Aquaman, but he didn't have a trident before he got his father's, right? Or am I misremembering? I don't think he had.
No, it's not the father, dude. It's the king. At the end of Aquaman, he got the king's. He got the original king's trident.
But he didn't have a trident before that part.
Yeah, he did. He had his mother's trident.
Oh, he had it by that point too? Okay, so I guess they kept that. I thought that was another retcon. So the biggest retcon was the talking underwater and Mara's accent, which I actually liked Mara's British accent in the beginning when she was first talking, but then there's that after credit scene where she starts talking again, and I'm like, nah, it's not that good. It was definitely a lot better the first time, so I could see why. I forgot this director's name for Aquaman. I could see why he said, "Fuck it, just talk in English." Your American accent.
It makes more sense. I mean, like,
especially since
it's just an example of like, this movie and Aquaman is just an example of like directors not seeing eye to eye on their on like vision and changing it up, you know. But I do agree. I think the underwater scenes look cool for the most part. I think they look better. I wasn't a fan of Aquaman that much, almost at all. So I can't speak on like how great it was. I really did not care for that movie at all. But yeah, I agree. I did like the like how it looked in this movie, and I agree that she did seem OP.
Yeah. They changed her. That's the other thing I was remembering. They changed her backstory as well. In this one, she mentions that her parents are dead, but then in Aquaman, you see her dad. Her dad is Dolph Lundgren with like red hair, which is a little bizarre. So yeah, it was a total like. I guess since none of that became canon because we saw the Justice League version, I guess this guy that did Aquaman was just like, oh fuck it, if you didn't show it, then I can change it. So yeah,
Right. I mean, we do know that for the most part, the Snyder Cut is just a one and done film. So like,
for the most part, yeah, they
for the
could.
most part, so it's kind of like he can do kind of whatever without real consequence, really,
Yeah.
because it's as so far. Warner Brothers hasn't said that they're going to give him a sequel to the Snyder Cut. So.
They said they're not officially, but
Right.
who knows? Who knows?
Hey man,
They
if
might-
AT&T says that hey, this shit was successful, let's make it happen, and they're gonna have to fucking do it.
I think what could possibly happen, especially with the rumblings, is that they're going to continue. It's very possible that they could continue the Ben Affleck version of the Batman movie that was going to continue after this. With
But he doesn't want to do it, right?
I don't know, man. If they pay him enough, he might pull the Daniel Craig and be like, "Fuck it, it's all good. Why not?" I think that one's way more possible than another Justice League for Zack Snyder's vision. I think that's way more possible.
The beauty of it all is that with HBO Max, anything can happen
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's not beholden to anything. It's just beholden to content. Like, give me content. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it asks of. There's no box office receipt, none of that bullshit. It's just give me this,
yeah.
feed the machine.
And in theory, a Batman movie shouldn't be CG heavy. In theory, you're not gonna get CGI creatures if you just have Deathstroke.
But
So-
but regardless, none of that shit's gonna happen, dude. Unless
don't know.
AT&T steps in and is like, hey, make this happen, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like straight up, it's not. DC's not gonna continue this.
Since now we were on like Steppenwolf getting the boxes, I actually want to say I really enjoyed they redid the scene where the Amazons fight him, and I think it's so much better this time because it felt so cold last time. Like, so there's the temple, the Amazonians are there, they're defending the box, and then these girls are just dying like left and right like nothing, and the queen just grabs the box and just dips, and then that's it. But then in this version you see her actually reacting to them dying. Like, some of the ones that died were her friends because they did a setup beforehand, and then you see her like asking for them to do the sacrifice. I don't know, it just felt more like, oh shit, these are people dying, not just like lemmings, like nothing. And then even when the whole place collapses, you see her like mourning. And it like I said, it just felt like people were actually dying here rather than just, oh, okay, cool, my girls, just go and defend it, sacrifice yourself like nothing. I'm your queen.
The scene was a lot longer too, and
Yeah.
it kind of gave Steppenwolf more of like how much of a badass he is. You know,
For
like
sure.
they literally sacrificed themselves to close like the pretty much the door for the queen to escape. He still busts out and then chases her across the land.
Yeah.
And it's not like it continues on and on. Like, you're wondering, like, yo, it felt like a medieval Fast and the Furious. So like the constant chase of them going back
Yeah.
and forth. Like, yo, how long are they gonna toss this box around?
Yeah.
It felt like what is like the relay races where you like
Yeah,
hand the baton to the next person and the next
Yeah.
person.
That's essentially what it was. They would tie the box, with the bow and then shoot it over.
Yeah.
And,
So I mean, it was really cool because like you just see like how terrifying he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And the
that's
difference.
the key there. The key is what you said, because he was an unstoppable force here, and then the other one felt like he could get stopped.
yeah.
Here, he was like a wrecking crew. He just goes in, does what he wants, and gets out. And I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest key of it all. Is like he felt like he could go in and take whatever he wanted.
A funny little addition in the Joss Whedon version, they didn't really show him flinging horses around. And in this one, he was fucking lifting them up and just chucking them. He probably cut that because he's like, oh, no one wants to see animals get hurt. Nah, we're going to see fucking everything get hurt because this guy's a hurricane. So yeah, they did a great job of showing, especially since we saw how badass the Amazonians were. They get that setup of how strong they are and everything. So to see them just completely get destroyed like fucking pins in a bowling alley, it's like, oh man, this guy's something. So yeah, they completely 180 the feeling of that whole scene. And then they added
That's how
more
it
to
feels.
the
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, they added more to the same thing. Him going after the mother boxes with the Atlanteans. He's like, "Oh, I'll never talk," and then he fucking uses that Starro looking thing to like get his memory. And you're like, "Oh shit, there it is. The guy's unstoppable." Like he interrogates you like that. Like there's nothing. There's no stopping this guy.
Yeah.
It just made me wonder if the guy's like this, Darkseid must be fucking crazy.
And that's the gist, right? It's the gist of like, hey, this guy, look how strong he is. Look how much it took to stop him. Now imagine what fucking Darkseid is once he gets here. You know, it's kind of like, oh shit, like they're gonna get fucked. You know, and I think that was the whole point of showing the power of Steppenwolf and how he was wrecking everything he came in through was just because of that gist of just like, hey, the next guy up, you managed to stop this guy, and he was a fucking headache for you. Now think about how Darkseid is gonna be once he gets there, and I think that's a very good contrast. That the other movie didn't do that. It didn't tell you didn't portray that in a sense, and I think this movie was better for it.
Yeah, definitely the the fight scene itself. I mean, I guess we can go into a little bit later, but the fight scene itself of Steppenwolf versus the Justice League in the original cut, he wasn't really doing that well. And then when Superman comes in, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, of course you're not going to do well. So, and in this one, he's totally mopping the floor with him. And only when Superman finally comes out is where you go, oh, shit, here we go.
Yeah. And that's another thing I liked about... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Orlando.
I mean, I think for the most part, like, you guys, it's more fresh in your mind, but I think they both kind of keep that same, like, theme of, like, Superman's a fucking powerhouse, and like he's the one that's here to stop you. And I don't know. While with their first encounter they were losing, I felt that like they weren't fully in sync, but it showed. I think that they could have taken him on. You know, like at least in my opinion, it showed that they had enough to like together to bring him down.
I think, I guess we can go into that fight then. So, you know, the first time they fight him, they got the floor, mop with them. And then the second time, the thing with the second time was that they're trying to hack the mother boxes. And then he also gets juiced up by the mother box. That's why he's got like the white eyes. He essentially went Super Saiyan, making him stronger. He was totally like clobbering them. The only reason why he was getting so distracted is he kept going back to Cyborg, going like, "Oh shit, I can't let you fuck with the mother boxes." And whenever he's distracted, that was their opening to like start hitting him. So I don't think they could have took him, like, not at all. He was a little distracted, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you think about it, if it weren't for like, you know, Flash's thing, they would have all got clobbered anyways. So
here's two things that I liked about that scene. One is I love how powerful Superman was in that scene. When he was fucking beating him in the ground and the shockwaves were coming out of that, I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, just Superman's power in that entire sequence was just fucking in another level. It was amazing. I loved it. Yeah. And the other thing I liked is just the setup of that scene. I like how Superman came to save the day, not how it was in the Justice League, where Superman was already there and he was doing stupid shit like saving people, and
right.
Then they get fucked, and then he goes and does the wrecking, right?
Yeah, he pretty much jumps into the fight, and then he goes, "Oh, people are in danger," and he leaves the fight to go help the people. Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of like I like the fact that he in the Snyder Cut, he comes in and saves them, and then he starts wrecking them. You know, I think that juxtaposition was better. You know, the Justice League was just fucking pointless. Like you have them all there together to stop this, and they created levels for no reason, you know, like they were pointless levels, like you said, like the Flash and Superman saving people is a pointless level that didn't have to happen, you know. Yeah. So I like how in the Snyder Cut that level was completely eliminated. There was just two phases of this fight, and I love how it was split into phases. You know, like first phase was everybody without Superman.
Storm. You know Storm the beach. That was the first one.
Yeah, exactly. So like that phase of like, hey, let's do all this minus Superman, and how they try to overcome the obstacles. And then when Superman comes, oh, let's see what's up now, you know? And then, you know, the other part was when Flash comes in and saves the day, you know? Which was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a big subplot that they totally got rid of from the Joss Whedon cut that I'm glad they did, which is the whole idea that the parademons can smell fear.
Oh my god, that was so stupid.
Yeah, and they were also attracted to a random ambulance noise that they kind of set up in the first scene of the Joss's version. So he uses that in his Batmobile in the climax to like lure all the parademons for him. And that didn't really make sense because all you got to do is drive there and the parademons will get on you, which is literally what he did in this version. It's like, oh, I need them all to come to me. Well, let me just fucking drive there and they'll come to me. Like there's no, hey, look at me. You're the only one there. Of course they're going to look at you. You're there. Like, so It was just such a weird scene that I'm so glad they got rid of. It was just him going, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fuck shit up. And then when they're all at me, the rest of the team can go attack. That's what it was. Because they kept the whole... Actually, I think they even made it more apparent this time. That Batman was practically suicidal in this one. Like, he was straight up just like, all right, I'm going to... I'm still guilty about, you know, all this. My penance is to put this team together. Myself. My whole penance is to put this team together and then sacrifice myself and then whatever. Mm-hmm.
That, it gets automatically contradicted with at the end with the Joker scene, because in the end he was just like, how many multiverses have we lost because you're not willing to give yourself up? So it's kind of like, yeah, you're probably right, Pedro, but I don't think that was the point of that scene. I don't think
what he says. Give yourself up.
Yeah, like he's like, how many times have we all died because you're not willing to sacrifice yourself, essentially?
No, not willing to make the big sacrifice. I don't know if exactly. I didn't think that meant himself, though. And I didn't think that. Yeah?
Oh, that definitely is him. Because it's just like, oh, you keep trying to stop it. You trying to stop it in different ways, but the best way for you to stop it is by actually giving yourself up. You are the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah, so that's what I took it as. You know, the whole Joker part is that, you know, he's telling him like, yeah, you've trying to figure out so many ways to do this, but in the end, what you needed to do is just easily sacrifice yourself for the greater good. So yeah, I so for me, when you say that, I'm like, I can see why you say that, but I don't necessarily think he was. I think he was more suicidal in the Justice League than he was in this one.
I think so too, because in the Justice League one, he was a little more guilty than he was in this one. But but anyways, that being said, I think he was way more useless in this fight than in the Joss one. In the Joss one, I felt like he did more. In this one, it's just him kind of like clearing out the parademons on the outside and like fucking shooting them with his alien rifle and shit.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, Batman's kind of useless when it comes to superpowered people. He always is.
Yeah.
Even in the cartoons, he's fucking pointless.
Yeah, well, that's why he always gets his gadgets and stuff. But he wasn't really. He was just shooting people like crazy. But that's fine because it wasn't about him anymore.
He took out the turrets too. I think that's his other job was to take out the turrets.
I mean, I thought I found this Batman, like this version of Batman, more. It kind of does like a full circle because he's not trusting a Superman in Batman versus Superman. Obviously, he's not and he doesn't really care for, like, he's kind of like Solo. And so at the end, you kind of see him in this movie be more trusting of the team and them, you know? Like, I think
yeah. Where he literally tells Alfred.
Right. I was gonna say, what does he tell Alfred at that point, at that moment? Yeah,
he says you just have to have faith, Alfred.
Yeah.
Right, and like that's something that he doesn't have really in the Joss Whedon version. And it kind of it just shows character development throughout the movies, you know, of like, this is a guy who was like secluded and really didn't care for anybody else, and at the end of this like trilogy, pretty much he comes to like realize that like they're stronger as a team, they're better together.
I get by with a little help from my friends,
essentially.
Yeah, for sure. They were definitely hitting you over the head with the Jesus Christ metaphors, especially when he kept throwing in the whole faith thing, waiting for your Lord and Savior to come in to the rescue. So yeah, good old Zack Snyder continuing that.
What do you guys feel about the Martian Manhunter? I feel like that was kind of also pointless in this movie.
Yeah, it was completely tacked on. It felt like it was tacked on. I understand that the character was created ahead of time as a way to reveal him to be Martian Manhunter at one point, but the way they did it here felt very unimpressive.
Yeah. It's like the Lewis scene he had. I was like, this is fucking useless scene.
I think
useless.
I think the Lois scene, correct me if I'm wrong, was he trying to tell Lois to like get your shit together so she can be there when Superman's resurrected?
No.
'Cause that's what I thought it was. Kind of like, I need to tell you to like go live again because I have intel that Superman's about to come back and only you can bring him back possibly.
No, the way I took it as was that she's a very powerful reporter that can motivate people with her writing, and she's not doing that, and that's why he says the world is better off with you in it. So I don't think it had to do with any of that other stuff. I think it was more for that.
Yeah, I took it as what Pedro says, but also I don't fucking understand what was the point of it either.
Yeah,
because Lewis, honestly,
Lois.
if you cut out the Lewis scenes, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. Like her entire thing was fucking pointless.
Yeah, it was just, and obviously this didn't confuse us, but there's a lot of stuff going online where people didn't grasp the idea that Manhunter was only Martha for a little bit. Everyone thought, oh my god, he's been Martha the whole time. And I'm just like, no. The fuck? No. Martian Manhunter was fucking Kevin Costner? What's going on? No. Yeah, dude. A lot of people did not grasp that. They're like, "Oh my god, how long has he been Martha?" No, dude, it was just for that one scene. The fuck?
Yeah.
The one that he's been with was the general. He's been the general for a long time. But yeah, I definitely felt it was useless. Even the ending scene was very weird of him saying like, "Hey," just showing up and he's like, "Oh, hey. Yeah, I heard you're starting a team." Yeah. Cool. Oh, your parents will be proud. Cool. Bitch, you don't know who you are. You just fought some new god aliens. You don't know if he's part of Darkseid's crew. Why are you so trusting? Yeah, come on, join the team. You don't know? My parents? What the fuck you know about my parents? Go fuck yourself. I don't know. It was weird.
So apparently Zack Snyder says that scene, that it's one of the new scenes he recorded, because you could definitely tell Ben Affleck was smart as fuck here. But he said that person who he recorded it was supposed to be a Green Lantern.
It's supposed to be Jim Stewart.
Yeah, and he didn't want to say who it was, who he put on that, but he said he filmed it in his house, and that scene was supposed to be someone else, but DC didn't let him do it, or Warner didn't let him do it.
In an earlier interview, like way earlier, when like the Joss Whedon shit was happening, he said he wanted to put John Stewart in there. But they said you're not allowed to use any of the main Green Lanterns, because we have plans for them. So it was supposed to be John Stewart. And I don't know, maybe it would have been better. Maybe it would have made more sense. But
it would have made more sense.
And you're right, Pedro. Like, that last scene with him and Martian Manhunter is just like, you wake up from a crazy dream already and then, which is like a dream that feels real, and then you walk outside your fucking floating mansion, and then an alien comes, like, nigga, you don't slap yourself, like, am I still dreaming? Like, this is just, so it's one of those scenes that, like, you're right, like, for Batman to be such a detective and so smart and so inquisitive, he doesn't question the fact that this alien just comes and visits him. He's like, and he literally just fought an alien. Like, the last two aliens he encountered, he fought them. Superman, Doomsday, the last three aliens he encountered, he had to fight them. And this one, you're like, okay, this one I'm not gonna fight. Like, nah, you're right. Like,
he knows my parents, apparently.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, you're totally right on that.
I'm surprised he didn't go, oh, Martha would be proud of it. Why did you say that name?
Yeah, it was very pointless. He's so
yeah.
nonchalant about it. He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, there was, especially when he's like, some people call me the Martian Manhunter. That name isn't ominous. There's nothing heroic about that fucking name. You're literally hunting people. Like, yo, what the fuck? It was just
He
so
should have
weird.
just said, my name is John Jones, and that's it, dude. Like, get it over with.
It's John Jones. I like Oreos because that's his classic thing. Flies off. No. Either way, both those scenes definitely fell off. I understand he really wanted to do a cameo. I honestly thought the whole time the cameo appearance that he was talking about was just the Atom, which was there, which was the one that was helping Cyborg's dad, the Asian guy. He's supposed to be the Atom eventually. That's why he's like leader of nanotechnology at the end. And I'm like, cool. That's what I thought all it was. Oh, and another cameo I noticed that was Crispus, Detective Crispus, which was the black cop that was with Gordon. He becomes the Spectre later on after he gets shot to shit. So, a couple.
That's another one. What did you guys think about Commissioner Gordon here?
I mean, he was
He
exactly
has
the
more
same.
scenes.
I mean, kinda. Yeah, he had a couple, but it was just him looking at the sketch. No, not even the sketch scene was still there. Like 90% of it was the same.
I don't remember the difference between the Josh Whedon one and this one. So it doesn't really add much.
Yeah, it didn't add much. It seemed okay. I
To-
was indifferent about it.
To think that he got swole as fuck for no reason.
I didn't think he got swole for this. I felt like he got swole for something else. Or maybe he just felt like getting swole. There's no way
was
you get
for this.
swole for Gordon. No way.
It was for this, man.
Man, it
Because
was
they were
for
filming
nothing.
this movie when he got swole.
Yeah, but I don't think it was specifically for this. I think he just felt like doing it and he showed off with it. But he was wearing a trench coat the whole time. There's no point to be swole. So I think it's just coincidental. If anything, I mean, his Gordon was okay. If anything, I'm more excited about Jeffrey Wright's Gordon.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to kill that
Definitely more
role.
excited about that.
But the thing is, this guy even though this guy's a fantastic actor, like Whiplash is one of my favorite movies of his. And of course, his Jonah Jameson is like second to none. Like literally, because no one else has been able to fucking do it. But he just didn't get material to work with, so it just felt whatever. Speaking of acting, actually, I wanted to say, was it just me or was Wonder Woman's acting worse here than before? Like her acting felt extra terrible in this cut.
Well,
I don't
what
know.
is this? Her third movie?
This technically would have been
Essentially.
her second. It would have been. Oh yeah, you're right. It would have been her third movie. I don't know. She did pretty bad in this one. There's just something really off about it. And I still can't get past the fact that she calls Superman Kal-El. It's like you knew him for 2 seconds before this movie. Fuck you calling him by his birth name. How do you even know his birth name? It's just weird.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't notice that one.
It's like Clark Kal-El. Who? How did you know? Why did you say that name? That's what that should have been.
Like, how the fuck you know his alien name?
Yeah, like where
Nobody
did you
knows that
read
shit.
it?
I don't even think he knows his alien name.
Yeah. Batman never said Kal-El. No, it's just Clark. Like, come on. Yeah. There's just a couple weird things, but that was in the Joss Whedon cut too, and it still fell off. I was just like, why are you guys calling him that?
You know, the thing is that I think with Gal Gadot's acting, I feel like I've just gotten so used to it because to me she's just the same everywhere. So
She's
it's
not a
kinda
good
like-
actress. It's unfortunate. She's not good.
So it's kind of like, yeah, it's just Gal Gadot being
But-
Gal Gadot, you know?
But of course, I know you guys shit on the movie like crazy, but the best acting that she's done as Wonder Woman is 84. Like, she did better in 84 than all the other ones, but she definitely did the worst in this one, I'll say. I don't know why.
But she had more to do here. Because in BVS, she didn't do much.
No. There
She
was
was
something
what?
that I liked that they did. They played around with the idea in BVS, and they kind of did it really quickly. I like the fact that in BVS, it seemed like she gets excited about fighting. Because there's a part where she's fighting Doomsday, and when Doomsday like totally like punches the shit out of her, and she goes flying, she like smiles and then she jumps back in. So it just showed that she got a thrill from fighting. And they didn't really do that anywhere else. Like, it's kind of showing that she's more of like, oh, peace. But then in the Steppenwolf fight here, there's a scene where he does the same thing. He like completely clobbers her, and then she starts like smiling and jumps back in. I kind of like the idea that she's like a legit like warrior that enjoys fighting, because that kind of plays into that she's part of. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say she's part God of War, but that's like the comic thing. she's part Zeus here, I guess. But
regardless, her culture is warrior culture, so it's kind of like they're ready and they want fights.
Yeah, that was an idea that I felt like they should have played a little bit more with it, but whatever. If you're gonna change all the other characters, you might as well change this one to be like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. Actually, it makes more sense giving her background.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you see her in her flashbacks in the other movies, where she's like a very competitive, like in her version of whatever the Olympics is and everything. Just to show that she has fun with that exhilaration.
Yeah, like
there were only like 2 quick
it.
hints. Yeah, I wanted to see a little more of that. There were only 2 hints of that. One in BVS and one really quickly in here that I noticed it the second time I watched it. Where I'm like, they could have played along with that a little more, but yeah, just nitpicking really. It was just most of her acting just I wasn't feeling it. And Aquaman to me, they added some more funny scenes here. Funny enough, you would think they would have cut more comedy, but they added a couple funny scenes with him and Flash. There was the one where Flash is trying to get his disguise on, and he's like, "All right, option A." And he's like, definitely not option A. And then he switches hats. He's like, option B. Then he goes, let me look at option A again. And it was just like funny little banter between them. And then you get the scene where Flash bumps into him while during the Superman fight. And then he does the point. A little cheesy, but it was still funny. Yeah. It felt right with Flash's humor.
The scene that definitely got rid of was the whip one, where he started pouring his soul out.
Yeah, I knew that was a Joss Whedon scene. Oh, we're gonna die anyways. Yeah. That scene was pretty funny, but it still felt out of place with the tone of everything else. There was a really cool scene that I liked where he finally got some dialogue, like a heart to heart with Wonder Woman. It's when they're digging up Superman, and Flash and Cyborg have their moment. She has her moment with Aquaman, where they're talking about both their cultures, because the whole history is that their cultures used to be together and then they split apart, however many millennia ago or whatever. And then they start talking about their cultures, and they mention a saying that they have. I don't remember what the saying was. And she's like, "Oh, my culture has that too." So it kind of shows like them bonding them together, that they're more alike than they think they are, and it's a setup to what Zack Snyder's plan was for the whole Atlantean and Amazonian tribes, that they were eventually going to be united as one against Darkseid. So it was a cool little, what was it called? Like a breadcrumb to like an overall arc that he was planning to set up at.
Or for me, the bigger breadcrumb is for Flashpoint, that piece of shit movie that probably is going to be bad.
Yeah, definitely. I was working my way to that one, but let's get to it because we're already at that character. So we got...
Go for it. I was waiting for you.
I was actually trying to figure out where to start. I'm going to start not at the end. I'm going to start it where they hint at it first, which is when they're going to resurrect Superman. They drop the mother box into the water, and still the same thing. They do the argument whether it's they should or shouldn't, and then he sets up. He says, "Oh, that's a rule I don't like to break. Going faster than light because it does weird stuff." And then there it is. And then of course he does the run as the cube is falling into the water, and then you see it rewinds a couple seconds, which is completely different from the Joss Whedon version. That shit just goes straight into the water. And in this one, you see it rewind, and I actually out loud went like, "Oh shit, they're setting it up!" And I thought that was going to be the end of it. So later on, when everyone fucking dies, and
that scene was so good.
That scene is amazing. And right before we started the episode, I was hearing the song of that scene because I actually really like his intro, and his intro like really gets blasted out in that scene. It's just this cool little like electric piano that plays. And I rewatched that scene. I just really liked it. That the explosion happens and he starts vibrating so quickly that the explosion doesn't kill him. And then that's when he starts doing his run. He's like, "I gotta break my rule." And then he starts doing his whole little confessing to his dad type thing. And as he's running, the whole ground is like creating itself back again, rewinding as he's running with every step. That was such a sick ass scene. And then you see Cyborg, like his bones and skin and muscles all start coming
and Superman
back.
too, because Superman gets reanimated.
You're right. Superman's too, all of them. You see everyone just coming back together as he runs and then like touches it again. I was like, man, what a great fucking scene. Well, that to me is like the real climax of the movie. It's not that they were fighting Steppenwolf. It was that fucking run. And honestly, Joss Whedon destroying that scene is a travesty that I will never forgive him for. That was single-handedly one of the best scenes, if not the best scene in the movie, and they totally got rid of it. I was furious when I saw that. I was like, how did you cut this? And you added a Russian family instead of this? Dostoevsky, you wanted that instead of the run? Fuck you, dude. Unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That whole sequence was pretty fucking amazing, man. And just to him when he was charging up, when he was running around, and you're like why is he charging up for, you know?
Right.
And then and then he fucking trips, and then everything happens.
It's not even just tripping. It's that one parademon like Hawkeyes him from like. I'm like, come on, dude. That one shot, dude. Give that guy Employee of the Month. Like, how did he fucking hit him? Like, Darkseid needs to fucking give him a
promoted a general for shooting
that one guy. I was like,
Flash.
really? As soon as they were setting it up, because you know they have that scene where they show the parademon and get his gun. I'm like, don't tell me he's gonna shoot this dude. Well, they did, but that's fine.
Yeah.
A nitpick. The scene after was amazing, so I'll forgive that.
Yeah, that whole sequence was great, man. And it leads into the whole Flashpoint thing that's supposed to happen, and it's gonna start filming
Right.
soon.
That he probably gets, like in the movie, it's probably going to be, oh, I broke the rule and everything turned out fine. Maybe I could break the rule some more, and then that's where you get the movie side effects.
Him trying
and
to save his
fallout.
mother, essentially, or like.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on there. We'll see. But
Yeah, but again, I just hated the running, man.
yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
he was
come on, man. It was all these fucking
even-
extra long strides.
yeah. He even did it when he was rewinding time, but everything else looked cool.
And that
So-
speech he said before he started running was annoying. It was like too long. I'm like, I gotta do the speech. That's it. I'm gonna do it. I gotta go fast, Barry. I'm just like, oh my god, fuck. Shut the fuck up and just run.
And then when he's
I
talking
get
to his
it,
dad,
man.
he's like, he was talking like a little slurring, like he was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm the best." The idea of it was cool.
Yeah, but the
So-
whole reanimating of everything was amazing.
I'm only going to justify one more thing that Joss Whedon did in the cut that was way better, that the Zack Snyder version was practically pointless in, was, now that we were talking about Flash, there's the scene, a pretty badass scene in the Joss Whedon version where Wonder Woman's getting attacked by a bunch of parademons and she drops her sword and she goes down to dive, and then that's when Flash stops time and runs to go touch the sword so he can get back in her grip. Now, in the Zack Snyder version, she just drops the sword and drops to grab it. She's not in any danger. So when she gets the sword back, she just falls and poses. And that's it. And I'm like, what was the point of like doing that whole run to give her a sword for nothing? While in the Joss Whedon version, she's like got a couple parademons on her. So when she grabs the sword, she immediately does like a front flip and slices it in half, and then she lands and does the pose. I'm like, yeah, that's actually way more useful, because why would you do that whole scene, a cool looking scene, for no reason? There needed to be some sort of danger. And Joss Whedon actually added danger in it. As upset as I am to say that, his version of that scene is way better.
Hey man, it's only a 2-minute sequence out of 4
like
hours.
4
It's okay,
hours
man.
that this dude added in. Yeah, so
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, if you throw shit on the wall, something's got to stick. So I guess that was the one that stuck. Like, oh, okay, you fixed that. Good.
It does make sense because like Flash is running, and he touches the sword, to help her. But what is he helping her for?
Yeah,
So-
nothing. In the and I even watched it again because I was watching the black and white version, and I'm like, the fuck was the point of this scene? And it still ended because I thought Joss Whedon added the trip. It still ended with him tripping and falling. So I'm like, scene's exactly the same except that. Yeah.
Well, what I do like about that sequence itself is that Flash is not a little bitch like he was in the Joss Whedon one,
Save one.
and that was
What?
so fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah.
That was so annoying. Like he actually like knew what to do, and like, oh, I'm gonna fucking do what I gotta do,
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
Aquaman scene when he stops the water too. Like that was really cool. That was not that wasn't there before.
It was better this time for sure.
It's just that sequence flowed better in general, and then you had the more depth with Cyborg's dad too, which you didn't have before.
Yes.
You know,
Big
when he
time.
sacrifices himself in the mother box, you know, to heat it up and all that bullshit.
Yeah, which at first
kinda
I was wondering. I was like, why did he sacrifice himself? And then of course the movie explains it. I'm like, oh, okay, I
Wait,
get
but
it
did
now.
he have to sacrifice himself though? Couldn't he just like heat the box up without being inside of it?
He was walking out of the room, and that's when Steppenwolf came in. So he went back in it. That's what it was. Because he kind of got cornered to get back into it. On his way out, Steppenwolf was in front of him.
Right.
I mean, technically, I guess he could have ran out, but I guess he was so spooked by this fucking Hulk-looking dude. Like, oh shit, let me get back in there. And then that's when he's like, fuck it. So yeah, it technically could have been avoided, but I understand what they were going for.
Motivation
And
for the character.
it did better. It did better for it did better for Cyborg's character.
Right.
And
Yeah,
and
sacrifice.
his arc went full circle. The fact that, you know, because the whole thing is that Cyborg thinks that his dad doesn't care about him, and then, you know, he does. He has faith that his son can do all this, so he sacrificed himself so that his son can save the day.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the whole nightmare sequence?
The added nightmare sequence at the end.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I mean,
I
it's
liked it.
cool. It's cool seeing Batman being paired up with like everyone that's like basically not a villain, you know, essentially. So it's really cool. It seems weird to have Joker there because you're going against Darkseid. So what the fuck is Joker gonna do in all this?
So apparently in his drafts, Joker has knowledge of where the mother boxes are, and that's why he's tagging along. It's more for like what he knows rather than any type of fighting.
Okay. I mean, just as someone who's watching, I question it just because like, while
Yeah.
everyone else makes somewhat sense, the Joker doesn't make sense in that squad.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought the same until I saw the whiteboard, because that's what happens. Zack Snyder did he had these couple, I think 3 or 4 whiteboards full of a very generalized, basic summary of where he wanted his other Justice League 2 and 3 movies to go, in what direction. And you got to see that that's kind of the idea they were going for. Although when you read it, a lot of things changed. Like he wanted Deadshot to be in the nightmare scene, and they put Deathstroke instead. I guess he thought, we can't get Will Smith for this shit. The Mara thing was still the same, and then her carrying around jugs with water so that she could fight with the water, that stayed the same, which was really cool. They made Cyborg actually being able to fight. I think in his original cut, like, Cyborg was just half a body because the bottom half got shredded. I thought that never made sense, because if he's made out of like a mother box, can he just repair himself? So I'm glad they made him normal with a fucking huge gun. So I definitely preferred that. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just kind of cool seeing him with some villains and then some other people that you wouldn't expect, like Mara. You see Mara with a trident, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck's she doing here? Even though I think she's way stronger than Arthur. I think she's a way better, like power-wise, she's way more useful than Arthur. Especially if she could pull blood out of people. I think that's a fucking amazing person to have on your team.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how this movie, like, first gave you that first glimpse into her power that she uses in Aquaman.
Right. Because you only saw it like using water to like hit people. You know, kind of like how Aqualad did in Justice, Young Justice. You're like, oh, he uses water to make a sword and shield. That's kind of cool. But fucking suck the water out of someone? Everyone's made out of water. That's deadly. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. And it's also cool that, and I mean, not into that, but this movie in general gives you the setup for the Batman movie that was supposed to come with Deathstroke and Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I like that a lot better, because in the Whedon version, it was just him saying we should make a League of Our Own, which is, Legion of Doom.
Yeah, it was an end credit.
Which in his cut still will happen, but this does a direct, like Armando said, a direct reference to the Batman Ben Affleck movie that was supposed to specifically be Deathstroke playing mind games with him, kind of like a Bane or a Hush, like fucking with him. So I'm still holding out hope that happens, because that's a cool idea. I would like to see that.
I mean, at
You
this
know what's
point,
funny?
I would say just blow up the DCU and like fuck it, just do standalone. We talked about this already. Like they should just do standalone films. Like I'm tired of like
Technically,
nothing
they
they've
still are.
done has been out really like out the park, like amazing. So
Technically, they did Joker. They're doing the Matt Reeves Batman, so they're still doing standalones. They just doing standalones, and then they're doing a universe that's very loosely connected now at this point.
right,
Because let's see, what is Shazam? What is Black Adam? What is all this going to connect to coming up? Or even the Green Lantern, if that ever fucking happens. Will any of that be tied in? No one really knows. It might just be like you're saying, Orlando. Maybe it is just fuck it. Let's just make these characters and make them good.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's funny that you were talking about the nightmare sequence and how you took it as man, I forgot. Fuck. What do you take it as? Like you took it as
What you mean, like how Bruce
Me or
interprets it?
Pedro?
What do you mean?
no, Pedro. Like how you viewed the nightmare sequence as
as a jumping point for the Batman movie, the Ben Affleck movie.
not the nightmare sequence. That was the Deathstroke scene with Lex Luthor.
nightmare scene-
I'll circle. So I'm gonna tell you, it's funny because you viewed it differently as like people I've watched, like people who kind of break things down. They saw that sequence differently than how you saw it.
How so? So
So-
what did they see?
So for them, well, the way they saw it is that the nightmare sequence was Batman trying, because they kept going back in time. Flash keeps going back in time to fix time itself,
Yes.
to get out of the nightmare sequence essentially, because we've had, even in this movie, you saw 3 different nightmare sequences, right? I think you saw the cyborg one.
No,
where
it's
he
just
sees
2.
Superman.
Oh, you're
Oh,
right.
2.
Cyborgs. No, you're right. Cyborg makes it the 3rd one. You're right.
So what was the other 2?
You got
That-
BVS, the BVS scene where he,
Yeah.
and then right after that, Flash comes in and he's like, "Is it too soon?" Like that weird
Yeah.
see.
All right, so it's funny because people
Cyborg
say
and then after credits. Okay.
yeah, people say that people are saying that whenever Flash reverses time, that's where those flashes into that potential future comes in. So it's kind of like, hey, this is a glimpse of what could happen
Yeah.
if you continue down this path. So whenever Flash does his time shit, people see glimpses into the future, right? So what they said is that, like, in this nightmare sequence, Batman is still trying to get back to the past to fix that future where Darkseid never wins.
But did
where he
Flash
gets-
did Flash do any running when he got his latest nightmare?
Not essentially, no.
Not exactly, unless he did it like off screen. I didn't take that connection. If they're coming up, I clearly he's got premonitions. I don't know why he has his premonitions.
Yeah.
So
they're
and he's the
saying
only
that, like,
one. That's the other weird thing. No other hero has it
Yeah.
except Batman. So that's a little strange.
Other than Cyborg, also. 'Cause Cyborg, had
Cyborg,
that.
but
When
Cyborg got it
Bat-
because of the mother box. The mother box had the visions, not him.
Yeah. So they're saying that like in this nightmare sequence, Batman's trying to get back to the past to fix to stop Lewis from dying.
Lois.
So
You
this-
keep saying Lewis.
Lois, yeah. So this whole sequence is just Batman trying to like, they saw it as Batman trying to save the past from they're trying to save the future from the past. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to stop that.
he's
what happened
trying to
from
stop
happening.
that timeline from happening, right? But it keeps
Yeah.
happening.
So that's why they go to Joker, and Joker is the key in a sense because he could help them stop Superman from killing Lewis. So they say that,
Darkseid from killing Lois.
yeah, exactly. So they're saying that essentially either Joker holds the key from stopping Lewis from dying.
Yeah,
Because they in that scene when Superman is holding Lewis and Darkseid touches him, they're in the Batcave. So it's kind of like, how did that happen? How did Lewis get to the Batcave? How did she end up
Lois.
dying there? And all that stuff, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh,
They saw it differently in that sense.
yeah. I guess that's something that would have got explained later. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff there that I'm just like, fuck, man. I really hope they continue in some way. Even if they make a fucking comic out of it, I'd be cool with it. But now that you brought up Darkseid again, I'm remembering a huge plot hole. And I think you know which one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't remember Zack Snyder's explanation of it, but pretty much it is. So, the gist is that Darkseid, or Uxas, if we want to call him by his young pre-Darkseid name, comes over there when he's still kind of, I guess, like a Steppenwolf level lieutenant. He comes to Earth. He finds out the anti-life equation is there, because that's why he slams the floor and you get that drawing in the ground. It's there. That's what he's been looking for his whole fucking life. It's right there. And then the gods come in. Ares, Zeus, Artemis, a couple GLs. Actually, no, one GL. You know, all those people. They all come in. They fuck him up. He leaves. And then he fucking forgets which planet it's on. It's like, dude, that's the one planet that handed your ass to you, practically almost killed you, and you forgot the name. You forgot where it is. You forgot the anti-life is there, but you left 3 mother boxes there. I don't know. It was just, it didn't make sense at all. It's just like, that's the one. I know you like to say, 100,000 worlds. I get it. 100,000 worlds, that's a lot to keep track of. But that's the one where you almost died. You would remember that. Like, that never made any sense to me. Especially when Steppenwolf was like, I found it. It's Earth. It's here. But you were there. You would. Oh man, it was weird. I didn't get it. And Zack Snyder's explanation, I forgot to put it up, so I can't really quote it. But it's definitely something along the lines of, he almost died, and then he immediately went to Apocalypse, and there they had to do a whole battle for the throne. And by the time everything happened, he took the throne. A lot of time had passed, and I guess he's implying he kind of just forgot or something. I'm not buying that.
So he's doing the D&D explanation of, Danny just kind of forgot.
Yeah, and then he just kind of forgot. Yeah, kind of. I'm guessing maybe Justice League 2, maybe even Justice League 3 could have dipped in more into Darkseid taking over, and maybe we could have saw something that maybe explains it better. But as of right now, the way it stands, him just forgetting doesn't fucking make any damn sense.
Maybe he lost his memory because of his ass whooping and he was dying. So when he went into a coma and then he didn't remember how the fuck he got his ass whooped.
I know, but you would think a ship has GPS and be like, where was this ship? Oh, in this fucking... I don't know, man. It's still... I am buying any of those excuses right now. It's a mother box that has the technology of whatever that repairs things and destroys worlds. You can't figure out where you parked your car last time with a GPS?
Hey, man, he didn't have the Find My Car app, dude, right?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk now of, now that I brought up that scene, of like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that Ares whooped the shit out of Darkseid, and then you get the Wonder Woman movie where Wonder Woman whoops the shit out of Ares, and then Steppenwolf whoops the shit out of Wonder Woman. So is Darkseid really that strong? But
But
I like to think
that Ares was depowered though, right?
I like to think that that's Ares when he was in his prime, which is very interesting.
Because in Wonder Woman he was depowered.
It's funny because you remember how one of my biggest complaints about Wonder Woman was that I hated that stupid fucking mustache that he had.
Yeah,
he still has it. He just had a beard with it, but the mustache is still there. When he showed up, I was like, oh man, he looks like a badass. And then when they showed his face, I'm like, oh, he still has it. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Because I think it was the same actor. They just like de-aged him and gave him like a buff ass body. Same actor. It was a little bizarre to see. Fucking Lupin from Harry Potter looking like a...
Very weird.
Looking like a heavyweight champion.
To be honest with you, those 3 gods look fucking weird.
Well, they're huge. Tough. They're like...
Yeah,
they're
like
12
Gears
feet
of
tall.
War characters.
Yeah, I know, but it just looked weird. It just looked off. It didn't feel right.
They look like perfect specimens because they were all like shredded with like 12 packs and like baby oil all over their bodies. It was weird.
For Sparta!
Yeah, exactly. Which is funny because I didn't realize when I first saw the movie, I didn't realize that was Zeus. I always thought it was like Shazam, like the original Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until the Zack Snyder version where, Wonder Woman's narrating, and she says, "Oh, Zeus and Ares," which is funny. She doesn't mention Athena, even though Artemis, even though Artemis is clearly there with a fucking bow. But it wasn't until then where I realized, oh, that was Zeus the whole time. Got it. I didn't realize that. But I thought that opening sequence was awesome. Not an opening sequence, but that sequence was awesome.
It was good.
But yeah.
Oh, overall, man, this movie was good.
Yeah. Oh, going back to the New God stuff real quick. When the portal opens, right before they kill Steppenwolf, which, by the way, the way they killed him was so fucking OP. The dude is completely done.
He's so done.
He's completely wrecked. All you got to do is take him back to Darkseid, and Darkseid is going to kill him anyways. But on his way there, Wonder Woman thought it was appropriate to decapitate him on the way back. I was like,
let me slice this motherfucker. That 1, 2, 3 punch. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Because then Darkseid just squishes his skull.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
yeah. Which I thought was really cool too, because that also gave Darkseid a little bit of a character moment of like, I don't give a fuck about this guy.
Yeah.
And then of course you get your glimpse of Granny Goodness in the back, and I was like, fuck yeah, they're adding all these characters. And Desaad, of course, which you had seen already. But yeah.
So it essentially was what Aquaman throws him, Superman punches him, and then Wonder Woman decapitates him. Is that how it went?
Yeah, they all kind of got their licks in. That poor guy at the end. I think they made Superman even more overpowered in this fight, honestly.
Yeah, he was super strong.
And it also made me realize...
Single-handedly.
It also justified why the mother boxes were so quiet while he was around. Because they knew this. They're like, shh, let's wait. And then when he's dead, they're like, oh my God, take it right now, quickly. Because as soon as he
Kryptonian is gone.
As soon as he fucking showed up, the guy didn't even blink with that axe. And then it was just craziness. I was like, oh my God, this guy didn't stand a fucking chance.
That freeze breath, he shatters it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
man.
especially like I said, when he was whooping the entire Justice League's ass, and all it took was Superman to just made him a bitch. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
so,
he like, man, he was a ragdoll essentially during that fight.
Yeah. I was like, honestly, you don't need a Justice League. All you need is a Superman, and then that's it. Like, that's your Hulk. Just put him out there, and that's it. Everything's gonna get wrecked. Now, obviously, you're gonna get Darkseid involved, and that's where your Thanos is. But for the sake of this movie, it's like, shit. Superman. That's all you had to say. Like,
all right. One thing I just remember right now. At the end of the movie, when Superman is with Batman in the camp farm, and they're loading it back in or whatever, that scene when he says, "Oh, how did you get the house back?" And he's like, "Oh, I bought the bank."
Yeah.
I thought that was a Joss Whedon scene, like a Joss Whedon joke, but clearly it was not.
Well, Joss Whedon added a line after that. He says, "I bought the bank," and then the Joss Whedon one after that was like, "I do that a lot." That was it. You just added an extra little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a Joss Whedon like scene that he just kept,
No, he didn't keep anything from Joss Whedon.
Yeah, he said he kept absolutely nothing.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Jesus. He says he never saw the Joss Whedon version, and he didn't have any of the scenes. He only used scenes that he filmed. He didn't use anything.
Yeah. So fuck that little bitch. Oh, also the other thing that got cut from the Joss Whedon one was the Lois being pregnant. That's another thing that didn't happen.
Yeah, which is interesting because I read the Snyder type leaks, and I didn't like where that plot was going. But to be fair, he did say that 60% of what he wrote in Justice League 2 and 3 is changed. So maybe they changed that. But they were kind of implying that it was Bruce Wayne's kid at one point. I really hoped.
It was that the kid was he was not powered like his dad.
No.
So he becomes the next Batman.
No, they were implying that it's Bruce Wayne's kid. There's a scene where Lois whispers into his ear to say it. I'm going to show it to you, the board. But it implies that when Superman was dead, they had a relationship. like to mourn
Nah.
him.
Wait,
No.
Lois and him?
Yeah, which it's way out of left field. That's why I'm glad it seems like it's cut. But they were
Nah,
implying.
Pedro, I don't believe you. I don't believe you anything at all.
All right, well, we'll talk about it after. But dude, you could even look it up if you want. But Lois's kid was heavily implied. Not implied. It was straight up supposed to be Batman's kid. That's why he's not powered, and that's why he becomes Batman in like the ending of Justice League 3. That was the original plot, whether it changed or not afterwards, but that was on the whiteboard. It was weird. I don't like that idea at all. I like to think that they got freaky before he died, and she's just still pregnant from that time. I don't know how much time has passed between BVS and Justice League, but I'd like to think that pregnancy test is his.
I think it's just been months. I don't think it even reached a year.
No, maybe.
I think it's shortly afterwards, because the way the movie portrayed it is just like shortly afterwards that happened. You know.
Yeah.
I think it was just like maybe a month or two after.
Yeah, I prefer it that way 100%. But that's the initial idea for that. You could look it up after, but I'm telling you that's the plan. That was his initial plan, which wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens then. All right, I think that's enough conversation about this Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, gents?
No.
No?
I'm happy it came out. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And yeah. Good shit.
Cool.
A great win for the fans. It shows that if the fans bully people enough, things can happen.
Good or bad?
Bully is the right word, I guess, in this
In this scenario, they were
event,
totally
yeah.
bullying. It was toxic. It was completely crazy.
Definitely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you thought about the Snyder cut if you saw it. Oh, before we close this out, Pedro, Orlando, would you recommend it?
I mean, if you came this far already to listen to our review of it, yeah, I recommend it. Solid 4-hour watch.
100%. Especially if you're a Zack Snyder fan and you've been following, you've been a fan of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, you have to do yourself the favor and just finish it. You got to watch it.
I recommend it, for sure. I recommend it. It's a good watch. And you can always watch it in pieces. They give you clear break cuts.
They do.
Let us know what you thought about this movie. Hit us up. Any social media platform, email, whatever. You know how it goes. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Later, guys.